so much.
Warm welcome. You take this seat, Mohamed.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Not at all. Well, it is a great pleasure to sit with you. You told me just a few minutes ago you had an experience with my predecessor on HARDtalk, the man with the mustache, Tim Sebastian. You described him as tough. I'm a pussycat.
His structure is tough.
Yes.
Voice
Well,
also.
I'm the pussycat who replaced him.
I wouldn't say that. I've seen you perform.
Yeah. Now look, we've seen some really interesting figures already about the ambitions in this region to continue to massively expand the hotel sector and to commit to tourism in a very big way. But there is always a question about supply and demand. Is there a danger, do you think, that actually supply is going to outstrip demand?
Well, it all depends really which market you talk about. If you talk about Saudi Arabia, if you talk about Egypt, I think if you talk about Ras Al Khaimah, probably even Oman, I would say that yeah, there's shortage of supply. But then again, what type of supply? That's one element. I think if it comes to Dubai, I think the city is growing, tourism growing, but at the same time, the supply is really growing, is coming in. But then again, what type of supply? Because demographics are changing, consumers' behavior is changing. So are we building the right hotels for the right demand, especially with the age of population in the region? In general, probably the story is positive. And demand is going well. And even if we go back to the city of Dubai, I think all hoteliers have been spoiled. You know, we've been doing so well for so long, huge occupancy, amazing margins. But that's changing as well. There's, you know, Ras Al Khaimah is competing with Dubai, and Abu Dhabi is competing with Dubai. But I think that's natural. That's healthy. So I think there's a lot happening that we have to deal with.
And tell me about your plans. A lot of people in this room will want to know what you're thinking about investment now and going forward. Are you looking far beyond Dubai? Do you think you've gone as far as you can in Dubai?
Well, you know, my worry is not really so much about what am I going to build here or there, but my worry is that will my 28-year-old kids really want to live in a five-star hotel? That's a big question I have. I don't think so. Because these guys, they want to go in a hotel where the closet doesn't have a door. I said, what do you mean your closet? He said, yeah, I like to see my clothing. I said, what about the mess? They said, no. And then another kid of mine tells me, no, I don't need a closet. I only live out of my bag. But you know something? I live out of my bag too. So are we designing the right hotels for 5 years from today? That's the thing that I struggle with. Of course, we're not going to talk about digital at this stage. We'll talk about it later. But the change in human habits, we are all above the age of whatever, 45, 55, and we're doing business for us. Are we smart enough to know that whatever we build is going to be for somebody else, and that is changing?
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, frankly, it's the 45, 55s and beyond who still have most of the money, isn't it? I mean, don't you need to target those with the money rather than those who are aspirational?
Well, I'll tell you another problem we have in the Middle East. In the Middle East, I'm not talking about the West. Also, we're emotional. I like to own a five-star hotel. I don't want to own a three-star hotel.
You mean more status, more prestige?
Yeah, but I think the business, I mean, we have a three-star chain called Rove. This thing is flying. But, you know, I don't think we like talk about it a lot because, you know, the address is the Ritz of the world, you know? But the money is out there.
And you don't stay in the Rove?
No, I don't. So, you know, we have to dive really deep and get good brains to decide what we do, when, how. But actually, the market's out there.
There's so much discussion here about brands finding the right niche in the marketplace. Are you saying to me that you see the best returns, the best potential lower down the chain, in the 3 stars, in the sort of millennial-oriented hotels?
I think that's really where the future is going to be, because first of all, in the Middle East, I think that's a market that have not been served, to be honest with you, right? If you look at all of these hospitality guys, look how they're dressed.
I'm looking at them.
They're
a lovely bunch of people.
They are dressed 5-star. They're all dressed 5-star. We dress 5-star. Our customer, I mean, Emirates, they fly 80%, 75% economy. And they fly 25% business class, first class. I hope I'm right, somewhere there.
Right.
And, you know, but we like the glamour. Well, what about the 75%?
Right.
Big volume. That's where the business is. So that's why when we decided to build Rove, we were crazy enough to build 10 hotels at the same time. We said, listen, the study shows that this market is underserved. We just have to go jump in there. And it's doing well.
When you look across this region, there's a lot of talk about the huge potential of Saudi Arabia dwarfing all the other marketplaces. So for you as a business in Emaar, are you now putting a lot of your focus onto Saudi Arabia?
We have an operation in Saudi Arabia. We have 2 companies in Saudi Arabia. We're looking at opportunities in Saudi Arabia. And yes, we are very positive in Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, I'm very positive in Egypt. Egypt's underserved. That country as a whole is underserved. Morocco is underserved. So I would say Saudi Arabia, India. So we operate in India as well. So I think between UAE, India, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, I think great potential.
When you consider new properties, what's most important to you? What are you really looking for to get excited about a new development?
Well, I'm trying to see, can we really learn that we build our room at $150 a key? Can we really make sure that we are affordable? Can we be efficient in our design? Can we make sure that we build these hotels where we know that people live in the public space of the hotel and provide them all the services and make sure that there's the greatest Wi-Fi before the quality bed? I think the Wi-Fi is more important than the bed nowadays, It's crazy. And can we really teach our hospitality how to prepare food? Because, our hotel people, in general, they don't know anything about food. If you go to any hotel and you open the menu in your room, they always sell the same thing. Club sandwich, bolognese, and cheeseburger. You know why? Because they don't know how to do anything else.
Or it's because boring old farts like me
want
to order a club sandwich.
Honestly, because the hotel industry have to change. They only know how to do this thing. Make up the bed, make sure the towels are clean, answer the phone sometimes. That's dying. You look at people say why Airbnb is successful. Because they're open 24 hours. They diagnose what you want through the app. They know how you feel now. They do your refund in an hour.
Yeah.
They pick up everything.
So how come we're all sitting here and everybody's looking smart and well-dressed and satisfied? Airbnb and that whole new way of delivering travel and tourism and hospitality, it's going to undermine at least half the people in this room. The industry, we're on the edge of a revolution. Why aren't we all scared? Why aren't you all scared?
A very simple reason. I think technology and digital brought in so much transparency that the service level is unmatched when it comes to the Airbnb people. And we in the hospitality, we need to take off our ties, take off our jackets, and run. And run.
Run away?
No, run to manage our properties, manage our customer demand, be alert. And you know something? We need to focus to hire the best people born. You need to go hire the best people born on earth with passion and love. Otherwise, you will fail. Because this young technology, boys and girls, they're driving all industries that way.
Yeah, but these are very fine words. But maybe you in the hospitality business are a bit like the old school journalists who, 10, 15 years ago were poo-pooing the idea that the internet was going to kill off newspapers.
Yes.
The internet is killing off newspapers. I dare say 10 years from now, virtually nobody, if anybody at all in the whole world, will actually, in the morning, wake up and receive through their letterbox a good old-fashioned paper newspaper. It's an industry that is dying. It's not information that's dying. It's just that particular mode of delivery is dying. And maybe the old-school hotel, as we think of it today, is dying too.
Well, I think it's a little worse than that. Who would believe that Airbnb, that some guy or some girl will come and live in some room, share some room, and some unknown human being on earth? Would you ever believe that will happen? Look at the change. There's so much we don't know. So I'm saying we have to be on our toes. We have to educate ourselves. We have to hire the best people, and we have to change the way we do business.
You're known as an innovator and a disruptor. do you have ideas in your head right now that you think are going to further disrupt the hotel, the hospitality business, particularly in this region? Give me a few disruptive ideas, if you can.
I'll probably have to call my 11-year-old daughter, and I have Mariam, who is in my office. She's 21. She's our digital head. I think they are the guys who are going to give me some ideas. And if I'm not connected with these people, I'm not relevant. Because, I'm approaching 60. What do I know about what's going on with these young people? No way. So I think, honestly, for me, interacting with young population, interacting with my kids, 26 or 11-year-old, or the young people in my office, I think it adds so much value to the intelligence that I have.
I suppose the question is, do you think the hotel business has yet embraced how much technology can change the business, or do you think there's still a long way to go?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. So therefore, I think the industry is smart enough. They will have to use technology to understand what the customer wants. I think we have to simplify our process. We have to make sure that we build very, very efficient hotels. All this bells and whistles in hotels is going to be it's a dying thing. So we have to bring in, yes, we have to bring in efficiency, and our customer service have to match what the digital provides you, the transparency.
But I arrived yesterday from Moscow. I wanted to, experience a little bit of luxury, I suppose, and I love the fact that the Waldorf here has loads of bells and whistles. Are you saying that all your grand properties with the bells and whistles are going to be downsized or made more austere and more?
I mean, look at the demographics. I think they will still be there, but I'm telling you, I don't think I'm building much more 5-star properties.
Really? You're getting out of the 5-star business?
No,
well, there's our first headline.
I'll build, but I'll not build as much, only because look at the demographics and look at the younger population who is coming in. I've got my son who's 30 years old, and I say, how come, I never see you wearing a watch. Why don't you wear a watch? He said, wear a watch?
But he's 30.
Why wear a watch?
One day he's going to be 45.
I get my time on the phone. Why do I have to buy a watch? What are we dealing with?
See,
what are we dealing with?
But this is fundamentally important for everybody in this room. It's about how human beings develop, or whether human behaviors are fundamentally changing, partly because of technology and changing attitudes, or whether these young people, the millennials, the hipsters of today, become the rather more comfortable and conservative, older adults of tomorrow. You're suggesting that something fundamental has shifted and that behaviors have changed forever, and that your 30-year-old son who isn't like you will never be like you. But
well, I'm like him. Now I wear a watch that's $100, so I'm not embarrassed. Otherwise, I watch my phone. So I'm saying no. I'm saying the traditional business will, of course, will always be there. I'm just saying that there is a big portion that need to change. The traditional business also have to be efficient. The traditional business have to improve customer service massively.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a thought for you. Again, I was very struck by the stats from Haytham and others about the growth ambition in a place like Ras Al Khaimah. And obviously here you've got beautiful beaches and relatively undeveloped coastline and mountains and everything else. The danger is, and we've seen it in other parts of the world, far beyond the Middle East, that if you really go for it in terms of increasing the numbers of visitors and massive hotel development, you can spoil the very environment that brought people here in the first place. Now, tell me how you see that, whether you believe that has been avoided in Dubai and the more developed parts of UAE, or whether you think in this region there really is a danger of overdevelopment.
Well, first of all, I think we all have plans, and I think Haytham and other boys and girls in this room, I think they're careful enough that they look at their plan, they double check on an annual basis what's going on in the industry, and then they plan accordingly. I think that the authorities in the region, they are learning, to be honest with you, and they're very strict when it comes to growth and the effect of growth on environment in general. I have to tell you that in Egypt, we're developing a marina and a hotel in the north coast, and it took us 2 years of going through different environmental studies for them to allow us to dig a hole to put a marina. So I must say that I really have respect for the authorities, even though they've been very strict with us. But I think they're taking that seriously, and they do quite a good job.
Yeah, I'm not sure that entirely answered my question, though, because, it is always a challenge of getting the balance right. Do you think in Dubai you got the balance right? Getting the balance right?
I think we're getting the balance right. Plus, we don't have, I mean, our coastline is so small if you look at the coastline and the beach itself. But other parts of the city, I think the governments are doing quite a good job.
And what about in your hotels? You know, I have to ask you because I think it is actually really important now. You know, the leisure and tourism industry is actually a big part of the debate about decarbonizing the economy, the threat of climate change. Do you take that seriously? I mean, after all, you're in a business where you want people to use aircraft to travel thousands of miles to come to your hotels. It is a sort of quote-unquote conspicuous consumption.
Yeah.
And there are questions about whether actually it's in the interest of the planet for this to grow and grow and grow.
Well, to be honest with you, I think the whole world is combining their efforts, from the aircraft manufacturers to airport planners to city planners, to really combine efforts. And look, when I talk about efficiency of hotels, that's also you know, taking care of some of that waste that we see in our hotels nowadays, and building a better environment. Are we really doing it perfectly? I don't think so, but I think there's a lot of efforts going in that direction.
Okay, I want to change tack a little bit and drill down into the way the hotel business works. There are people in this room who represent developers and investors, and then there are other people in this room who represent the big brands, the operators, the managers, the franchise holders. How do you see that relationship right now? Who's getting the better end of the bargain? The investors and the property developers, or the big brands?
I mean, we operate our own brands, but I also work with international brands. I think it works both ways. I think both parties benefit. If you are a developer, you've got the operators who bring you the expertise, they bring you the system, processes, efficiency in design, reservation, even though the digital boys and girls are taking over all the booking.coms and so forth. But you need to operate. But you need somebody who knows the excellence and the details of operations. So that helps.
Does experience and that sort of brand profile matter very much anymore?
I would say good service and care, it does matter a lot for customers.
But if you cut to the chase, I mean, in the days of online travel agents and the sort of huge expansion of booking.com and Travelocity and Expedia and all these people, who really needs these sort of dinosaur brands?
Because you will need the rating. So this business of I rate you every time I deal with you is going to kill all of us. Therefore, I love it because they bring transparency, and therefore here you need a good operator that understands how to hire the right people, how to train the right people, how to maintain good service in your hotel from all sides and all departments, which is a big challenge. To operate a hotel is not an easy job. So I think you will need that expertise.
Are margins going to get tighter? Is it going to become tougher? You said the golden days of Dubai, we had immense potential for growth because our margins were great, our rooms were full. Are those golden days over?
I don't think the golden days is over. I mean, you know how the cycle in the economy, but I really believe that for many, many years we've lived with amazing margins. I think these margins are going to be we'll be facing challenges with these margins. And I must tell you that, you must remember that we are in the Middle East, where the BBC and CNN probably go bust, and you'll never survive without the bad news from the Middle East.
Well, so I'm about to get to that, believe me.
So
I'm a guy who thrives on bad news.
So I'm saying with all that bad news, we're still doing well, we're still expanding.
Well, it's funny you should mention bad news. And obviously it's no laughing matter. I mean, you cannot switch your TV on, frankly, without having your heart broken about some of the things that are happening in the Middle East. It is terrible. And of course, thanks God, most of the truly awful stuff isn't happening in this particular region. It's not happening in the UAE, of course. But nonetheless, there are knock-on effects.
Of course.
And I just do wonder, for you, you are a smart businessman. You are making strategic investment decisions looking 5-10 years ahead, at least, and if not more. Yeah. Do you really think the Mideast is a great place to be putting money right now? A lot of money?
I put all of our investment in the Middle East. The good news is that I don't think we're going to start war in Yemen. I think that's almost, I hope, ending.
Really?
I don't think we're going to start a war in Syria. I hope these guys sort it out. So I'm saying that it can't get worse than this. So I'm really getting ready for some positive years ahead of us.
You know what? Every time I hear somebody say it can't get worse than this, it can get worse, and
well,
it
you know,
routinely does get worse.
We are businessmen. We can't live but positive, but realistic as well.
But nonetheless, the reputation of the region takes a hit every time there's a new sort of surge of violence and conflict. And you just mentioned Syria, you mentioned Yemen, and the overall, you know, let's be real here and let's be honest with each other. I mean, we know the overarching story here is that there is a struggle for regional power. It involves the big powers of the region, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Then you've got the US and Russia, for whom this region is a strategic playground. Then you've got Israel. You know, it's very hard to see a time when this region isn't going to be, to put it politely, volatile, and to put it less politely, bloody dangerous.
Because we have a good story coming out of Saudi Arabia, where everybody used to paint Saudi Arabia as the people who originated, you know, fundamentalist thinking. So we've got an amazing story coming out of there, what the Prince Mohammed is doing. So we should not forget that. That's amazing news for us. And I see a great stability in Egypt. I have huge business in Egypt. It's doing extremely well. We have a food business and real estate business. So I'm saying these are big economies in the region, and therefore I'm a positive thinker. I don't think I'm going to read tomorrow that the war in Yemen have started, but I hope I can read that the war in Yemen is ending in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and I hope all the confusion, it can get, I hope it doesn't get any worse in Syria too. You know this better than me. So I'm saying we have to get ready for some good news.
You are an optimist, aren't you?
I need to be an optimist.
Yeah, all right. So I know they oh my God, we've just stopped.
It is telling us something. Time is out or something.
No, we've got a bit of time left. And because we've got we're going again. Because I've never done an interview moving before. I tell you, I might take this back to the HARDtalk guys and say, you know what, we've been missing a trick. We need to do these interviews on the move.
Maybe a little faster.
Yeah. Well, you know what Jennifer said to me? She said, if you're going on too long, Stephen, we just speed it up until you get thrown off the stage. Everybody at AHIC loves a little bit of news. Is there anything, you know, I'm just thinking, people follow you. You know, you have a reputation throughout the region for being a canny operator and seeing where the next trend is and, as I say, being an innovator and a disruptor. So I would just love a little heads up on what your sort of news-making next investments might be, particularly with regard to the Gulf and this region.
Yeah. Well, we are putting 250-room address in Murjan Island here in Ras Al Khaimah.
When will that be ready?
I think we are 24 months away.
Right.
And then we also putting next to it 230 residential units as well in Ras Al Khaimah. Plus, we are discussing another big hotel as well with the team. I hope we finalize with Haytham the coming week. So we've got 2 big properties coming in.
He's grinning, so he seems to. It looks like that deal's going pretty well. He's rubbing his hands. It's going very well.
We have. We also have an interesting brand, which is a lifestyle brand. It's a very Miami young brand called Vida.
Vida,
which is you know it's a mid price, very lovely brand, which I think we are putting a lot of effort to build more of these hotels where you're not 5-star, you're not 3-star, but you're somewhere in the middle.
See, I don't get all. I think this is going to be a theme of mine throughout the next couple of days. You have so many different little niches. Your Roves and your Vidas and your this and your that.
3.
Oh, okay. Well, you're unlike the big boys like, you know, IHG and Hilton. They seem to have dozens of brands.
They're big boys. I mean, they've been in the business for a long time, and you know, they made more mistakes than us, and they know their business much better.
They make mistakes.
Well, we all make mistakes, I think. They make mistakes, we make mistakes as well.
Well, great. I'll explore their mistakes with them in the course of the next day or two. But I suppose my point is this. I understand that branding is important, and you need to send messages to the consumer, you know, that we understand your particular needs. But this can go too far, can't it? I mean, you could end up with a multiplicity of confusing brands, which actually creates a lot of work for you because there's a lot that goes into branding, and you know, frankly, it costs money to develop the brand, to staff the different sections of your operation.
If you ask me, I I prefer to operate two brands, the economy brand and the so-called, business class brands. That's really my wish. But anyway, we have three, so it's not too bad. We've got the 5-star, and we've got the first class, business class, and economy class.
Right.
But the economy class is most probably where the money will be
You're
coming from.
It seems to me you're more excited by the economy class than anything else, right?
Well, I like to do business with 80% of the population. I don't want to do business with the 20% only.
Right. Except that the margins, it's a much tougher business.
Well, I'm a graduate of Zara. I used to operate Zara stores for many years, clothing stores, and I like the business of doing big volume, small margin, but you do quite well.
So you're going for the Zara look in your
very much
economy hotel.
Very much so.
Smart,
much but I make sure that the ladies are designing the hotel, not me, because they have much better taste than me.
I'm not going to get into that debate about gender tastes, but I am interested in the degree to which you think, over time, the massive commitment to growing the tourism and leisure business in this region could actually change the region a bit. We've talked a little bit about Saudi Arabia, and obviously in Saudi, the opening up of the country to many, many more visitors, different kinds of visitors, could have an impact upon the country itself, the culture and the mindset of the country. Do you see that happening across the region, that it's a two-way street?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody goes to Starbucks, and everybody uses Facebook, and everybody uses iPhone. I think the world is one. I don't think there's a difference anymore.
Well, except, there obviously is. Saudi Arabia wants to open itself up.
And they all watch Hollywood movies, so it's the same.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. So you don't see any issues about, or sort of potential difficulties in, for example, Saudi opening itself up as a leisure, entertainment center of the future?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a great thing, because I think it's a great thing for the people of Saudi Arabia to start with. That's really the focus of the government. I think that would be my focus as well. On top of that, tourism, for people to explore Saudi Arabia, which has never been touched for many, many years. I think that's a really wonderful environment. But Stephen, let me just clarify one thing when I talk about economy brand hotels.
Yeah.
These are, by the way, when I talk about economy brands, these are very stylish, yeah? If our colleagues have visited our Rove chain, very stylish. This is a respectable environment. So please keep in mind that we're not talking about a low-class type of environment.
No.
Just to stress, please.
Hands up, who's been to a Rove hotel? Oh my God, loads of people. All right.
I hope you stayed there.
Yeah, hands up, anybody who went to a Rove hotel and agrees with Mohamed that it's a classy joint.
Oh, yeah.
Hands up, anybody who's been to a Rove hotel and thinks, actually, you know what, it's a bit shoddy, bit cheap, bit nasty.
Well, in the Arab world, Stephen, in the Arab world, we're very polite.
Yeah, I know. Way too polite.
But thank you for visiting.
You're not helping me, ladies and gentlemen. You're not helping me. This is supposed to be a little bit hard talk, but you're not helping me. Okay, I think we're almost out of time, but I do want you to paint me a picture. I love all these stats, saying that by 2030 we're going to have, actually, I think Russell came in 2020, the ambition is to have, 20,000 rooms. Dubai, there's these extraordinary figures that already I think you're getting close to 140,000 rooms. You're going to be at 160,000 very soon. And I don't know where you're going to be by 2030. How far can it go? And I think you just revealed to me that you're roughly 60-ish years old?
59 going 60.
59 going on 60 and looking fighting fit. So, you've got, at least 20 more years of business in you. Where do you want your business to be in 20 years?
Well, I want to build a boutique hotel on a hill in Tuscany and manage that hotel. That's my wish.
Can I come?
Of course, yes.
Will it be a Rove or will it be 5-star?
No, I think it will be more like the Rosewood.
Oh, my God. Can I be on your guest list? That sounds rather nice. No, but you're betraying your region if you want to go and retire to Tuscany. That's no good. But seriously, how much more can you do, and how ambitious do you remain?
Well, I want to do more, but but something I've learned that if I can focus most of my time on just making sure that I hire the best people, that I motivate them and support them, that I put very tough and rough limits on performance and reward them well, and move extremely fast. I think I can make the balance of my life a very productive time.
All right. Well, I have to say, it is so much more of a pleasure to sit with you and talk with you than to. I mean, he's a fine diplomat and a very clever man, but rather more pleasurable talking with you than with Sergei Lavrov. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I nearly called him Mohamed Lavrov,
but he's a man I admire also, because this guy also does extremely well.
I tell you what, he is a tough and smart cookie, that is for sure.
I know.
But ladies and gentlemen, please give a very, very warm hand to Mohamed Alabbar. Mohamed, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stephen, what a fascinating and insightful interview.
Thank you.
Mohamed Alabbar, thank you so much. If everybody can just show their appreciation again to Mohamed Alabbar.